If you haven't had an opportunity to watch Fear the Walking Dead, the dog episode, stop listening now, major spoilers, here we go. Today is September 13th, 2015. Fear the Walking Dead returns after about a week-long or 2-week-long hiatus because of the Labor Day weekend, and it's finally back. And I just got to say right now, man, this episode, another 10 out of 10 star episode. Right now, I have the pilot episode, 10 out of 10 stars. So Close Yet So Far, which is the second episode, 10 out of 10 stars, and now episode number 3, The Dog, 10 out of 10 stars. So let's get right into it. Once again, man, major spoilers. We're going to go through this and break it down systematically and talk about everything. This will probably take me about 15 minutes, maybe 20, and I'll let you guys know if there's nothing, more important or, information so that you guys can click off so you're not staying here all day. So here we go. Episode 2, we saw the ending, which left us with Travis, his ex-wife, and his son, his biological son, trapped downtown Los Angeles with this store owner couple. Okay, it's the dad, the mother, and the daughter. Okay, or you can just call them. I call them Grandpa and Grandma with their cousin, because I put all those into one big family because they kind of really meshed together, and the personality it felt like it was a family, Mrs. C, Travis's brand new wife or fiance or whatever you want to call it, she is actually at their house, which is on the other side of town, and she's with Alycia and Nick. So my biggest question I had, and I wrote this down, I said, how will they get back? How will they reunite? Are they going to go to the desert in this episode? And, what's going to happen there? Are they going to show them getting the supplies and stuff? Because if they're going out to the desert to kind of wait this thing out, we got to see that, okay? So, anyway, this episode is called The Dog, and let me read a quick little introduction, and get a little bit about the episode. It says, after they escape a riot, Travis, Liza, and Chris seek refuge with the Salazars. Madison defends her home. And that's pretty much what this is, man. Let me just say this right now. The CGI, the zombies, the infected, whatever you want to call this was the craziest episode, man, as far as Fear the Walking Dead. And I think it's the goriest, nastiest episode that we've seen so far out of the whole entire Walking Dead series. And what I mean by that, the Well Walker, the Forest Tree Walker, zombies exploding because of grenades, zombies getting run down, Tyrese hitting zombies in the head with hammers. None of that stuff, even Michonne with her chopping zombies' arms off and carrying them around as slaves and protectors. Nothing compares to what we saw tonight, man. The infected here, you can shoot them, you can stab them, you can shoot them in the face with a shotgun, and nothing happens to them. The only thing that works is blowing their head off or shooting them with a headshot. But they continue to come at you even when they've been injured, because maybe it's because their flesh isn't as rotted out and maybe they're just not as old. The longer that we're inside of the Walking Dead universe, the worse the zombies they get, the worse the walkers get. They're easy to take down now because, they're almost like, mashed potatoes. But these are brand new, I guess you can say. Let's call them carrots. These are carrots. They're really strong, okay? Freshly grown potatoes, and you can't take them down as easily, okay? I loved it, though. I loved it, man. Here's what we got. Travis and his family, with the other extended family, they get out of the city via a truck. The wife of the store owner gets injured, and she has a nice, I'd say, bullet-sized hole inside of her right or left foot, right towards the ankle, but on the top of the foot towards, I guess, whatever the hell that thing is called. I don't know. It's like a nice piece of flesh with some bone there. What happened is the city of Los Angeles downtown is it's completely destroyed, man. People are rioting. They're flipping cars. They're burning stuff. It's utter chaos, man, to the, I don't know, 10th or 20th power, okay? It's taken to such an extreme that police are shooting people. Police are shooting tear gas. They have dead people that are coming out of hospitals that are, the dead are now living again, and they're shooting them in the streets. It's just anything that you could think of. You got to see that tonight, man. And what ends up happening is that Travis and the family and an extended family with the grandpa and the grandma, for some reason, they stop holding the grandma's hands, and she gets separated, and this tower that this guy was on top of falls on her, and it hurts her ankle, man. And I myself, I think that she's going to die. And the reason why is because, who's going to treat that wound? When is that wound going to treat? Eventually they're either going to have to, do a Herschel and saw that bad boy off, or, she's going to die, and, she'll come back, and it looks like the grandpa, Salazar Sr., I guess you can see, is, he's straight up, he will kill you. He will shoot you. He will kill anything and do anything in order to survive, man. And if you show any sort of weakness, he doesn't like that. Like right now, Travis, if you ever watch Fallen Skies, man, and the TV show Fallen Skies, they have this historian guy, and I guess if you watch the Librarians, you would see that that they have this I don't know, a guy that really cares about humanity, okay? And no, we're not talking about the season finale of Fallen Skies. We're talking about when, we get to see the beginning of Tom Mason and how he cares about humanity, and he wants to teach his sons, Hal and Matt, that you don't have to be this I don't know, uncivilized thing that exists inside of this reality. You can still hold on to civilization and your humanity, and even in the break of civilization, when everything is crumbling around you, you can hold on to what you know, which is the true and real deal. And that's what Travis believes in. So he doesn't believe in guns. He doesn't believe in killing, your neighbor that has turned. He believes in trying to follow the rules, man, and being the best, upright citizen that you can possibly do. I guess you can say he believes in the Bible of Tom Mason, or the laws of Tom Mason that we saw inside of season 1, 2, and a little bit of season 3. Now going towards the end of Fallen Skies, obviously, Noah Wild turned that character Tom Mason into something else, okay? And I love every bit of it. I do love that, okay? But anyway, Travis doesn't want to kill anything, okay? So they have this situation where Travis gets back to the house that Miss C and Nick and Alycia were staying in. They went over to their neighbor's house because they heard something or someone at the door. It turned out to be this dog, a live, living dog, man. It was crazy. It was a German Shepherd. The German Shepherd was calling on the door, trying to get in. Maybe he wanted some, I don't know, jerky treats, I don't know, kibbles and bits or whatever. It wanted some food, and then it comes inside because Nick lets the fucking dog inside, excuse me, but why would you let the dog in? You don't know anything about this dog, and Nick, you know everything about the situation that's going on right now. Maybe he doesn't know that dogs can turn, like we saw inside of the Walking Dead, I think season 5 or season 4, where those damn dogs were out there on the streets and they started killing people, and then we ended up eating those dogs. But they're not like walker dogs, they're just they're I don't know, they're like, they go back to the original, dogs, not domesticated. They go back to the wild. And, obviously this dog is still domesticated, so the German Shepherd's not really a threat. But damn it, man, that was scary. And it scared the hell out of me. I actually shared some videos, man, reaction videos on my Twitter account. So go to @SmallvilleNBD. That's Smallville_NBD. And you'll get to see all those reaction videos. But that scared the hell out of me, man. I didn't know. I thought there was going to be like some dude at the window. It was a dog. And then after that, you come to find out that the neighbor across the street that had killed the girl that was having the birthday party in episode 2 is now across the street, and he's starting to attack people. So they go over to their neighbor's house, which we find out is Susan. Susan has a shotgun. Her husband is not there at the time because he's going to make it back towards the end of the episode, and they go get the shotgun. Travis arrives at the house where Mrs. C is supposed to be, and then obviously she's not there, and then they find find the neighbor who was actually the neighbor who was across the street that killed the girl that was having the birthday party for her son. It's that lady's husband, excuse me, killed the dog. He's eating the German Shepherd. Travis comes in and says, he's like, Maddie, is that you? No, it's not Maddie. It's a fucking dude eating a dog, and you can hear it. But he continues to walk forward. The lights now, let me kind of back up a little bit. The power in the city, as Travis is making his way to Mrs. C's house, the power in the city of Los Angeles is gone out. And now what you have is you have reserve power, backup power, generator power, coming back on and off, and flashing on and off, flickering. It will scare the hell out of you. You will be terrified. There's nothing else that you can say about this except, wow, what the hell is going on, man? It's a new element of fear that is placed inside of the Walking Dead universe, man, with Fear the Walking Dead, with the lights flickering on and off. You will love this. If you're scared of everything like I am, you will absolutely love everything about this, man, because it is terrifying, okay? And I really, really mean that. So anyway, Travis, man, he tells the guy to calm down. The dude is not listening, okay? He's not doing anything. And the guy that I'm talking about, if you're on the Fear the Walking Dead Facebook page, if you're on AMC.com, you saw this picture of this dude that has half of his face blown off, and he has one eye, exposed to where he can see and kind of walk. But the rest of his face, it looks like straight up jelly, like somebody put jelly all over his face, and not like the regular, jelly with the sugar in it. We're talking about the sugar-free seedless jelly. If you understand what I'm talking about, if you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to watch, your sugar intake, trying to stay away from diabetes and all this stuff, you're gonna get the sugar-free jelly, and that's what it looks like. Okay, he has sugar-free jelly all over his face. That's the guy we're talking about. He starts coming and aggressing towards Travis. Travis, tries his best to hold the guy back, but the guy is vicious, man. Travis falls down. He almost hits his head and knocks himself out. But he's like, trying to hold the guy back. Travis's son, who, their relationship they're working on, he tries to save his dad. He's like, Dad. He's just like Carl, man. This guy is horrible, and I can't wait to see him die. I hope that he dies a horrible, horrible death, because that's what he deserves, man. And the guy that I'm talking about, the actual name is Chris, man. Chris is Carl, okay? And they both start with C's. Chris and Carl should die one of these days. Hopefully it's at the end of the season for Chris, and hopefully season 6 we see the end of Carl. I can't stand both of those characters. Anyway, Mrs. C walks back in and she tries to save Travis. Something happens to where, Travis doesn't want Mrs. C to shoot the guy that is inside of the house trying to kill everyone. So the Salazar, the grandpa guy, old guy, he grabs the shotgun from Mrs. C. He shoots the intruder, the walker, the infected, whatever you want to call it, one time towards the chest and the face, and that's where you have the nasty face at now. But the guy's still coming forward. He takes aim again. They show you this first-person thing to where you're actually the camera. You're the view of the walker, the infected, and you get to see down the barrel of the shotgun. And he pulls the trigger, and it blows his head off, man. And it's so disgusting. It's so sick. I think, to me at least, I thought the gore factor, because these are fresh humans, okay, so their flesh is really fresh, and it's different from seeing a walker get its head blown off, because you don't really care about it. But having the human element, it just takes it to another level, man. Like, that was really hard for me to watch. The dude gets his head blown off, and then he just kind of slides down the wall, man. And it's so sick, man. Travis, he kind of loses it, and he's like, "Why did you do that? What have you done?" There are consequences and stuff like that. The Salazar guy, he's sitting here watching all this stuff, the interaction between Mrs. C and Travis trying to, save the world and save what's left of humanity, or just in case there is a cure, you don't want to do anything until you figure out exactly what's going on. You want to have as much information as possible prior to making a decision that is going to be a life-changing, life-altering decision. And what ends up happening, Salazar calls Travis weak. Now, Travis doesn't hear this. Mrs. C doesn't hear this, nobody. But Salazar's wife and, himself, he hears it. And we, as the audience, we hear it also. He just says weak, but he says it in Espanol. I don't know the word for that. I'm sorry, guys. I got to work on my Spanish, man. But he says it, and now we kind of understand the character of Salazar, man. Really, really rough, tough, and gritty, grimy character, man. I do like him. I do appreciate that because, you know, you have to do what you have to do, man. The dog gets shot in the face. I'm shooting the neighbors in the face. I'm robbing the neighbors. I'm killing the neighbors. I'm doing whatever I can to survive. I'm still in the neighbor's car. If the neighbors have like a van, I'm gonna steal that van. I'm gonna throw the damn baby seat out on the fucking street. You know, if they have a baby inside that's alive still, I'll take that baby and I'll care for that baby and nurture that baby and grow that baby into a fucking killer machine inside of the Fear the Walking Dead universe. But there's no way in hell that I'm gonna sit there and try to say, you know, oh, you know, let's put all the walkers in one room together or one house. No, hell no. I'm not doing that because somebody can get infected. You don't know how this thing is spreading right now. So the best way to be safe is to fucking kill everything that walks. Okay? If you start making grunting noises, you die. If you start coughing, you die. If you have a cut, you're dead. That's just how it is. You have to play it safe, man. It's survival of the fittest. And if you're not fit, you die. That's how it is. So I respect Salazar, but then on the other hand, I do respect what Travis is doing because, you know, just because I know this, because I've been watching, you know, The Walking Dead for so long, you know, I already know what's going on. But if I didn't have that information, I would react the same way because, you know, you don't want to kill someone's brother, sister, mother, cousin, you know, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. You don't want to do that. You don't want that on your conscience because, you know, that's going to play into the rest of your existence inside of this universe until whatever happens, whether there's a cure, whether whatever. But the psychological, you know, effect in the how do you want to say it? Just the pure horror that you're going to have at nighttime, it's going to play on you, and it will wear you down, and you'll probably end up killing yourself before, you know, help comes or whatever. The biggest thing about this, man, the biggest thing about Fear the Walking Dead is the moral questions. Moral questions arise, man. Should we burn the bodies or not? Should we kill or should we save a life? Should we take a life or should we give a life? Should we attempt to do the right thing, which is to take the higher moral ground, or should we just say fuck it and grab a vehicle and drive it as fast as we can through a house and rob everything and kill everything, you know, and rape and pillage and do whatever the hell we want because society is gone. And now this time it takes me back to Tobias because Tobias says the exact same things. He talks about that, you know, civilization, when it decides to one day crash, or when it happens, when the crash happens, it's over, and it's going to happen in an instant, and there's nothing that you can really do. You can try to, you know, I don't know, sugarcoat everything and make everything rainbows and fucking roses all day, but guess what, man? The reality is that, you know, it's going to burn. Society's going to burn down, so you need to make sure that you're prepared, and that's what I think is most important, man. But those moral questions, they're a game changer inside of Fear the Walking Dead. I've never seen anything like that because, you know, whenever Lori, when she gave up her life, and as much as I don't like Lori, I think she's a horrible bitch and one of the worst mothers on television, I will say that she did the right thing by having Carl kill her and sacrificing herself for her baby. You know, that's just something that she did right. And, you know, you're going to have to make those decisions eventually, but I don't know. It's just, it'll get you talking, man. But anyway, let's continue on. There's the neighbor. The neighbor that is next to Mrs. C is named Susan. She is I say either Korean or Asian, whatever. But I believe that she's Korean. Most likely she's Korean. But she's an Asian infected walker, zombie lady. And this is our first infected walker, zombie, whatever you want to call it, that is on a personal level that we actually get to feel a lot of emotion, man. Number one, you get a backstory from Mrs. C, how Susan used to take care of her kids. Susan helped out whenever Mrs. C, her first husband died. So we get a backstory from Mrs. C. So now we kind of see why she's so tough and way fucking better than Lori, because Lori didn't have anything. Lori, she didn't have shit. She didn't do anything. Rick gave her everything, and then she turned around and she boned fucking Shane, and it's just horrible that way, you know. She cheated on a dude just because he's in a fucking coma, and the world started ending, and you wanted to jump on somebody's dick. So yeah, Mrs. C is awesome because, you know, she has history, man. She has you know, something that has, I guess, a story to tell, man. So you have this moment between Mrs. C, and let me go ahead and get the other girl's name, man. I want to make sure I get her name right. And I think that it is Ophelia, but I'm pretty sure that that's probably wrong. Let me go back and check this name. And I want to make sure that I get it right this time, man. And the reason why is because I said in my first podcast, I said when I say these names from now on, I'm going to make sure that I say them right. Now, I think is it Griselda? Let me see. Nope, it's not Griselda. So, and then the Salazars, I got to find, what's Nick's last name? Nick's last name is, give me 1 second, guys. Okay, not Nick's last name. I'm looking for Chris. Chris Manawa. Travis Manawa. I'm looking for that girl's name. And it might be Elizabeth Ortiz that plays... Ah, there we go. Liza. Liza Ortiz. Liza Ortiz, okay? That's Travis's ex-wife. And also Chris, that's his mother, all right? So, there was a moment between Mrs. C and Liza, and Mrs. C pretty much told Liza this, okay? And let me kind of back it up just a few seconds. Liza was coming to Miss C as she was sitting there after all this stuff happened with the neighbors and having to kill one of her neighbors and then having to see the situation between Susan that's going on where, you know, Susan is dead. She's a walker inside of a dead state. And Nick pointed this out. He said, she's dead. And then Travis didn't want to believe it. He said, what makes you say that? He said, because this truth, and sometimes the truth hurts, you know, and you have to tell the truth inside of this series, man, inside of this universe. And, you know, with Miss C sitting there, you know, having her thoughts and just taking a moment to kind of take all this in, Liza walks up to Miss C and she says, you know, we're going to be living underneath one roof, and I hope that we can get along, you know, trying to, you know, give her this kind of speech that everything's going to be all right, it's going to work itself out. But Miss C, she was, you know, she heard her, but what Miss C wanted to kind of put through is that if anything happens to me, if I ever get to where I look like Susan or I look like anybody else, you know, in this state of walker or dead or whatever you want to call it, I want to make sure that you put me down and don't let Travis put me down, because if Travis has to put me down, it will break him. So what that kind of tells me is that, you know, Travis and Mrs. C, the reason why they work together and they mesh together so well as a couple, and the reason why, you know, Liza and Travis didn't work so well, didn't mesh so well, is because their personalities, man. Travis is, I'm not going to say like a weaker male, but everything with Travis has to be rational, you know. And what I mean by that, there's always a good rational mind is a good thing, but sometimes, you know, you need that irrational, that on the spur of the moment thing, and that's what Miss C, that's what she does, man, because she's just been dealing with it in her life and the death of her husband and stuff like that. So, you know, having, you know, that grittiness, that griminess of that, you know, just thinking that far ahead, you could tell that she's a planner, man, and like she's thinking every worst case scenario. Travis, on the other hand, he's not really thinking worst case scenario. He's thinking eventually, you know, someone's going to come with answers and everything's going to get better. You keep hearing him say that. It's going to get better. It's going to get better. And then at the end of the episode, I'm going to fast forward real quick. At the end of the episode, the military comes in and he says, he's like, the military has arrived. He says the military has arrived and then it's going to get better, man. So, yeah, think about that for a second. Okay, so Miss C and Liza, they talk, and then, you know, Liza, she agrees, and then Miss C, you know, she goes on, you know, continuing into just kind of reminisce and think about Susan. And then we see this scene where Susan's husband comes home, and he's driving towards the house. Travis and his family, along with his ex-family, they're driving inside of their truck, and Miss C is following them inside of a car. As they're leaving, you know, she sees Susan's husband come inside the house, and then she tries to warn him, beat the horn, you know, and scream at him, but he doesn't hear her. So she pulls off, and then you know, she follows him into the backyard. The husband doesn't really, you know, listen to what's going on because he just can't believe how his wife is looking. And then what ends up happening is that he goes in for like this hug and embrace, and Susan, the walker, is about to bite him. All of a sudden you hear this gunshot. Susan's head gets blown back, you know, with a headshot, and the military is there. So that's the biggest difference between Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead, is that the military is there. And now you have this military industrial complex with this martial law, and the military arrives and they take control of the city, man. And that's the end of the episode. One of the best lines of tonight was from Travis. He says, having 2 wives in the same house is supposed to be easier, but it's not. And it was just absolutely hilarious, man, talking about his 2 wives, and it was really, really funny, man. And hopefully they'll play on some more of that. There needs to be a little bit of comedy, but not too much, and I like how the seriousness of the show is going in. I think that's pretty much it, man. The military is going through and they're putting X's on houses. I don't know what that's about, but I noticed that. They're marking houses. One thing that they asked, they said, have you been exposed? And the reason why they asked that is because Miss C, she's like, yo, where did Susan's husband go? And then one of the soldiers says, he's been exposed. And then he turns around and asks Miss C, have you been exposed? And then she says no. Then after that, this another funny line inside of the series, inside of this episode tonight, is that the military guy turns around, he looks on the floor, and there's this giant, dug up hole, that with something that has been buried there. And then she says, family dog, and then. Yeah, and that was it. Nick is still, trying to recover. He's going through his rehab and all that stuff, and she has pills for him, Mrs. C, so she'll give them to them eventually over the way. But eventually they're going to run out of pills, and then he's going to probably end up ODing or something like that, or going back on the stuff. And he's actually going through people's houses right now, like a crackhead, and looking for stuff. So he's robbing people, which is very interesting. Other than that, guys, that's it, man. Once again, man, 10 out of 10 stars. I love this episode. And we'll come back, man, and probably talk about it again. And I am missing episode 2 on my reviews, but that's just because episode 2 and 1 are so similar. There really wasn't anything more to add. I will probably come back and do a short, maybe 5-10 minute one, but that's about it, man. But I'll probably get to there towards the end of the series. I don't really see any need to review episode 2. It's just not that good, but well, not good as far as not that good to talk about. It's just there wasn't really anything in there to talk about. That's it, guys. I'm out of here. Comment, like, subscribe, share this video, and I'll catch you next Sunday.